Okay, everyone, welcome. I'm really glad you're here. Um, we're excited to talk about perfect payroll today. My name is Remick, and I am a client service specialist here at Payfluence, and I am client success here. We also have Archie.
Hey everybody, I'm our Director of Client Services. Happy to be here with y'all today, talk about this exciting new product that we've got coming on board, and give y'all a preview of what y'all are going to see kind of updated within y'all's portals here within the next couple weeks.
Yeah, so this new product is called Perfect Payroll, and this is going to launch about mid-March, or no, sorry, mid-February. So this month, you'll start to see this in the next couple of weeks appear in your environment. And so over this, we are going to talk about everything that will be in Perfect Payroll, and it's exciting because I think it'll help everybody just have double checks in the system that you didn't have there before with this perfect payroll. So with this overview, it is a specialized support tool designed for payroll processors. It identifies potential issues during payroll preview or processing by providing, alert categories by type and severity. And these insights help ensure payroll accuracy and compliance, saving time and reducing errors. So I'll let Archie go over the insights and severity levels.
Yeah. So we're going to just kind of briefly go over what these are going to look like, and we'll show you this product within our demo environment here in a minute. But when we get there, you're going to see 6 categories of what we're calling insights into the things that may be going on with your payroll. Those are associated with the following categories, and we'll give you examples of what each of these could be. But things like banking and payment issues, employee compliance concerns, employee detail inconsistencies, payroll processing errors, personal identification discrepancies, and probably the biggest one, and the one that will be most useful for most of you, is the tax and wage anomalies, things that just don't line up with kind of the range of what your previous payrolls have looked like, to help you kind of make sure that things are still within the bands of what you're looking to do. When we look at those different categories, there are 3 levels of severity that we're going to be identifying. So the first and most base level are informational things. These are not going to require any kind of acknowledgement, anything for you to take action on, just truly there for informational purposes. There are going to be warnings, so these are going to be things that you'll want to put your attention to, but will not prevent you from being able to actually process your payroll, but just more giving you more information that you want to look at a little bit more deeply. But then the final category will be true errors. There aren't a lot of these, but these are things that you would want to make sure get cleaned up before you actually go through the process of completing the payroll. So we'll identify a couple of those and speak to those specifically here as we move along. But 6 total insight categories and 3 severities within each of those. So I'll kick it back over to Remy to start talking about some of the banking and payment issues that you may see.
Yeah. So an example of a banking and payment issue that you might see is an informational one. It alerts you to when there is a bank holiday. So it's just another reminder because the system already lets you know, hey, via email by notification about your payroll run, it will automatically update to with the holiday. And so this also has that as well. It gives you another reminder, hey, there is a holiday in this payroll. You might need to process your payroll a day early. So that's an example of a banking and payment issue. Another thing that it might show you is unauthorized tax jurisdiction, and that is with employment compliance concerns. So a lot of states are multi-state local taxes, and with that, it's going to alert you to those. So if you get a new Alabama address, as an example, that is going to alert you, hey, that's a local tax, and then you can go ahead and alert your CSR, and they'll talk to the tax team to make sure everything is set up correctly for that. Another example would be employment detail inconsistencies, and it will alert you when there is a SOC code missing. And so SOC codes are required in about 6 to 8 states right now. And with that, we already have things in place that make sure you add that SOC code, but this is just another check to remind you, hey, there's a SOC code missing, make sure to add that. And that is just something that is for informational purposes for the state, but it's something that is required. So it's another great just double check to make sure you have that SOC code.
Thanks, Remy. And so, as we move down into some of the more payroll related items. Two of those that fall under the payroll processing errors are missing timesheets. So if you had an employee who did not have any time on their time card in the prior period, whether you're weekly, bi-weekly, it's going to look at that full period. It would give you a warning letting you know, hey, John Doe does not have any time on his time card. And if that's appropriate, that's perfectly fine. You can continue with your process, but it's going to give you another way to see if you have those employees who are not having time entered on their timesheets. The other is unusual pay rates. So the system does use a 10% threshold for a lot of the calculations that we're going to talk about today. So if you had somebody who had a greater than 10% increase or decrease on their pay rate, it's going to flag that and just give you that information there so you see it all on your perfect payroll dashboard in case you did need to taking action on that. A lot of times that's super helpful if you miskeyed and put a rate of 80,000 instead of 8,000 on a per pay basis. It's going to help with some of those issues that may pop up. As far as the personal identification discrepancies, you probably will never see any of these. These are all related to inaccurate or duplicate Social Security numbers. We have a lot of safeguards in place already in the system to keep you from entering a duplicate social or incomplete socials for active employees. But if one did slip through the cracks, you would see those pop up as part of that process as well. The final category of insights are the tax and wage anomalies. And this, again, is probably going to be the biggest group of them, the one that you're going to spend most of your time on. So in this, you're going to see things like zero net pays. So if you did have an employee who was not receiving a paycheck during that pay period and was still listed as an active employee, you'd see a list of those there within the perfect payroll dashboard and be able to easily identify, if those are accurate or if you need to go back and make some changes there. Excessive payroll amounts. So if your payroll is outside of that 10% threshold that I mentioned earlier, as far as the gross pays or the tax liabilities or anything of that nature that we'll show you here in the graph in a moment, it's going to flag that as, hey, this is outside of your normal bounds of what you do for payrolls. Another one that's an excessive wage or hours. So again, if there is an employee that has wages or hours more than 10% outside of their normal range. And when we say normal range, the system is going to look back at the last 10 payrolls processed to give you that picture. It's going to flag those employees. Again, super helpful if you are hanking in hours and you accidentally type in 800 hours versus 80 hours for an employee. It's going to flag that and help kind of save you some heartache on the back end of that, hopefully preemptively. The other one would be anything with deduction or garnishment errors. So if you did have an employee who had a short paycheck, didn't work their full set of hours, and maybe they had some deductions that aren't going to be taken as part of that payroll processing, those are going to flag and show up there as well. So a lot of information with the actual payroll itself with those tax and wage anomalies.
Perfect. So now I have shared my screen to our Black Dog company, which is our demo company here. And in this, we have perfect payroll on in here. And the first thing that I want to show you is the payroll insights graph. So I'll scroll down slightly so you can see that right here. So the payroll insight graphs visually compares the average of up to the 10 last regular payrolls in a pay group. Um, and in range means the payroll values are within 10% of the average, and out of range, the payroll values exceed a 10% variance. So in our Black Dog company right now, we are out of range. It is more than 10% different than the last 10 regular payrolls. And with this as well, special payrolls don't count with this. You are truly just going to compare your regular payroll because with a special, often it's a bonus, or maybe you're just paying someone that was missed in the pay period. So it's not going to look like your regular payrolls. And one other thing with this, to get this graph to show up, all you have to do is click the preview button and then the graph loads and you'll be able to see that graph and then the pay data insights below. So it's very easy. You just have to hit the preview button, which you all already always click anyways. So nothing extra there, but you'll just have some payroll insights and pay data insights load. And so now that I've showed you that payroll insights graph, I am going to scroll down and we're going to look at the pay data insights.
Yeah. So that graph there is obviously a nice visual cue for you. You're going to get that quick, immediate feel back with the blue versus red to be able to know whether you're in range or not. But the pay data insights down here below are going to give you that more detailed view into each of the different insights, the different severity levels, and the actual details around some of these things that you may want to go look at or maybe need to fix before you actually process payroll. So as we're looking at this, the first thing I'll kind of point out is that with each of the different columns here within the table itself, you see the three lines next to the name category. You can click on that, and let's say that I only want to look at one of my categories of errors. I can click on those check boxes, filter it down, click OK, and that's going to pull up just that category of errors. So if you're just looking at your tax and wage anomalies, trying to look at those, you know, zero net pay employees, those that have had, major hour changes, those are going to pop up there by clicking that, clicking OK, and filtering down. The other thing that you may want to do is filter out maybe some of those informational items and just look at your true warnings and errors. So inside the severity column, you could click the filter options and filter down just to those true errors or informational items, or errors or warnings. You can also search for different items. So if you're looking for a specific employee, under the details, you could come in here and use that search filter to be able to do that as well. Now, one of the things that does come with this, depending on the size of the screen you're working on, if you're on a tablet or a smaller laptop, you don't have a lot of real estate to be able to look at all of the information. It may spill over from line to line. There is an export option here as well. So you can pull this full set of data out into Excel, pull it onto a bigger screen, make it a little bit easier for you to go through and analyze, make sure everything's well within the bounds of what you're looking to do as far as payroll is concerned. Now, one thing I will note here is that with these, you do want to be on the lookout for any errors, because as we mentioned earlier, the errors truly will stop you from processing payroll. There aren't a lot of things that are going to pop up as errors, but if you do see one pop up and you can't get it resolved yourself, the number one thing to remember here is to reach out to your customer service representative and let them know what's going on, and we can work with you to make sure we get those things squared away, especially if it's on the tax front, getting those registrations and accounts the way they need to be before you're processing those payrolls is going to be super helpful. So I'll flip back over to Remick to kind of wrap us up there.
Yeah. So we went over the pay graph, the payroll insights graph, and then the pay data insights. So those are the two new things that you will start to see in your environment once you click that preview button. Um, and with this, I saw a good question in the chat. Is this free? It is. It is included. No extra price, which is great. So it's just a great new feature that you get to have, whether you like it or not. Just kidding. I hope you'll like it. But this is a great new feature that, again, comes out mid this month. And with that, are there any other questions? Somebody, you can write it in the chat. And if not, we'll do our gift card giveaway. I'm not seeing anything there. But again, if you do come up with a question, especially once this turns on in your environment, reach out to your customer service rep and they would be happy to help you out with your questions and answer anything for you. So with that, Archie, I'm going to do the bingo wheel.